Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this evening I want to talk to you all a bit about Affliction, Demonology, and Destruction AOE builds, Mythic Plus kind of builds, and all that in Dragonflight Beta, meaning level 70 content, not pre-patch. Now, it is currently the 15th. Actually, drop start today. Shameless plug to the stream down below. Drop start today, but more importantly, it means that we are less than 2 weeks away from Dragonflight's actual launch. Now, we've seen a handful of class tuning hotfixes being pushed to beta over the past few weeks, and for the most part, I think Demo and Destro were in a pretty good spot. AF could use some help in single target, but tonight I want to look more at AOE builds and not just single target like the video we put out a few days ago. I have uploaded a handful of videos, just random Mythic Plus runs from beta, looking at AF and Demo and Destro, but I want to spend more time looking at their strengths, weaknesses, and just different versions of the specs, because there's a few different ones for each spec that, you know, are seeing some play, and yeah, just go from there. I guess we can sort of rank them from best to worst, but keep in mind, everything in this video can change literally at any point. If Blizz pushes buffs or nerfs, if they do, I'll be sure to mention it. A couple things we get too far in the video. Number one off the bat, any weak auras or add-ons, profiles you see in this video, all for free on my Twitch and or my Discord. If you want to hop in the Discord or go to the Twitch link down below. !WA in chat or in Discord will pull it up for you. Number two, I want to give one huge shout out to my patrons. Guys, thank you for all supporting Patreon again, a million times. Really appreciate it. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing for you guys, creating content and all that. And I really, truly do appreciate all support. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below. And yeah, that being said, let's jump into it, starting off with some Affliction builds, because probably needs the most help, so let's just start off on the right foot. Okay, so for the first Affliction build here, this is going to be a Grim Reach Dark Harvest build. Yes, Dark Harvest was nerfed to 2.5% and 5% this week. It's unfortunate. I don't like it. It's where we live in. Soul Rot, Dark Glare, Grim Reach, obviously. Haunt and CD for just being good at what they do. Now, we're playing ID here over Soul Flame. Soul Flame is still good. You can play it in Ruby Life pools, dungeons where like a lot of mobs are dying quickly. We're playing Soul Rot, so I opted to play ID here and see how it is. We have AC, Vile Taints, Sow the Seeds, with Seed obviously. You can play Siphon here or make a case for it for more single target damage. We'll look at that more down the line for optimizations and all that. We're playing AC for now. And Soul Tap. Now, Soul Tap, I'm going to tap the 4 shards before you start this actual like pull here, just to, you know, not say, oh, he tapped the 5, the damage is busted. 4 is fine, we're good to go. We're also playing Soul Eater's Gluttony here, which means that you're going to have basically Soul Rot every half a minute, which with ID, you can fork that Soul Rot every half a minute. Now, there's a lot going on here. I'll do my best to keep up with it and talk through it. I might scuff it, who knows? I haven't played AF in a while because it hasn't really been that good. We have a tracker up here as well if you guys like to watch it. And yeah, so that's that. So let's say we Soul Tap here, no bug, which is nice. So we end up precasting Seed of Corruption, the pack's being pulled, so we Seed, precast Seed, precast UA, cast your Vile Taint, cast your Haunt, cast Soul Rot, Trinkets, Dark Glare, and begin your Seed spam. Watch how fast my ID stacks come in here too. 16, 20, 24, 28. Add-ons are broken. Sick. It's awesome. Thank you. Seed spam again. Basically full stacks here. 1 Drain Soul. We're at full stacks. Fork the Drain. 160k in our burst here, roughly. 170k almost. More Seed spam. Catch the Agonies here. Now, the one thing about I actually lost one. The one unfortunate part about AF, like in this AOE kind of build and plus, is that you can cast Vile Taint now. They changed it, Vile Taint that is, from a 20-second cooldown to half a minute, which means that previously you could just cast Vile Taint to permanently maintain Agony. But now that it's half a minute and not 20 seconds, you have to have this weird, like, okay, I want to cast Vile Taint in 10 seconds, so my Agonies are falling in 4, so I got to manually refresh. It feels really bad. It's certainly a step backwards, but I mean, just it is what it is. I don't know. It's the world we live in. So now you have a max drain here. I'll dump it now without Soul Rot. It should be up again roughly for our window in about 15 here. Spam a couple Seeds. We have Vile Taint. I'll cast it in a sec here. Drain. Dump the Vile Taint. It's fine. Catch the Agonies. We have Soul Rot again here, so we can wait a second on this drain. A little bit longer. Perfect. There it is. Cast a Seed in the middle here. Soul Rot's up. Big forked drain. And that's that. Now we're sitting at about a minute and a half here. We'd have Dark Glare in about 30-ish. I'm going to stop now. So our damage breakdown looks to be about Seed. Seed at about 32. Grim Reach from the Dark Glare being his AOE I-Beam at 7.8%, which is not bad, honestly, because you also have his baseline I-Beam damage here at 2.4. So about 10% of our damage. And keep in mind that Grim Reach, the damage of I-Beam is increased based on the number of dots you have active. on every target. So more targets, even more Grim Reach damage. This is only 4 target. And we were sustaining about, what, 120k roughly at that point, I think? Right around the minute and a half mark. It's pretty solid. Drain Life being about 12, Soul Rot being about 4.5, Battle Tank, UA, all the above, yada, yada, yada. Now, the cool thing about this build, very, very strong with big Dark Lair CD, Grim Reach, big Drain Life, Soul Rot stuff. But the unfortunate part is you don't have Haunted Soul. You don't have Malefic Affliction. You don't have Dread Touch. You're missing. You don't have Siphon Life. You don't have PS. You're missing a lot of these single target elements that AF has. With that being said, let's take a look at a different build here. Not full single target, but a bit more towards the single target end of the spectrum. So let's say you're looking for a bit more of a middle ground kind of build, which after the Dark Harvest nerfs and just looking at how AF is in single target Mythic Plus currently in Dragonflight, I feel like the middle 2 rows here are more so where at least I'm leaning when it comes to like AF and Mythic Plus. Now, it's important to keep in mind that yes, a spec might do insane AoE, it looks really, really good, but if its single target is terrible, it still loses a lot of value. The specs that are good at Mythic Plus are ones that can do good. I mean, mostly ones that are considered meta are typically ones that are good at AoE and good at single target as well. There's been some exceptions, but I mean, you know, yeah. And unfortunately, AF lives in a world of where, okay, we take Siphon Life and PS and this row for single target, or we opt for this and this and this and this instead in AoE, and there's not much of a middle ground. You're good at one, but not that good at the other. And if you try to like hybridize it, is that a word? I think it is. You end up getting slightly above average probably value in both, but still not anything incredible. So that being said, similar open here, not playing Soul Rot, we're just playing Vile Taint and Seed Spam. This build is pretty simple. The big thing is Haunted Soul here. Haunted Soul giving you a buff to all your damage, or I guess all your dot effects, and basically that. Now we are playing Soul Flame here. You won't see Soul Flame value in this duration here, obviously. To a similar extent, you also won't see Wrath consumption value here because we're not killing any mobs, but they do both add value, keep it in mind, and in settings where you can chain value with Wrath for a while or get big Soul Flame cleave like Ruby Life Pool's first boss, it's big. All right, so that being said, let's say we're going into a pack here. Once again, I'll tap the 4 shards, Tanks Pulling, Precast Seed, Precast UA, Wonder of Vile Taint, put our Haunt up if you want, there's that, Trinket, Dark Glare, Begin Seed Spam. I think I lost a shard in my opener, but that's okay, it is what it is. Gen a shard there too. And like I said, big thing here is that we're not having the Dark Harvest buff for like big, you know, just haste crit value on pull. We're not hitting 160k, but we have more consistent damage in a sense because we have we have Haunted Soul. This thing, Haunted Soul. So our dots are going to, on average, be doing more damage consistently over the course of, you know, the pull, whatever. We can Vile Taint again here. Continue our Seed Spam. We're sitting at about 130k, which is not too bad. The last poll went for about a minute and a half and ended at about 120k. I assume this is going to be a little lower, but we'll see. One thing to look at here as well is that if you notice whenever I Vile Taint, it will apply Sacrolash. It will apply Curse of Exhaustion, and we are playing Sacrolash. A recent nerf to that made that ability just actually terrible. It's barely a 10-second curse effect in AoE, but it's something, I guess. So, a couple seeds here. Vile Taint again here, why not? We're sitting at about 113k. Seed a little bit more here, dump the Strain Soul, seed a little more, and this is the gist of the build. You really just do this over and over. There's no Soul Rot to micromanage, no Drain Lives. It will have a bit more single target / prio relevancy, but it's not as good as, like, you know, burst wise and heavy cleave as like, you know, the Dark Harvest combo with Grim Reach. We are playing Grim Reach, but, you know, not having Dark Harvest for Seed Spam does affect it a little bit. We're sitting at about 107, 108k at this point. Once again, RNG is RNG, variance is variance. Seed of Corruption being about 35%, Agony about 20, Corruption about 13, Grim Reach being about 10% here roughly, which is very solid. I-Beam being about 3, so about 13-ish%. We have Dark Lair in about 10-ish seconds here too. Vile Taint 6, Corruption 14, and that's basically that. So this build will have more prio damage, just due to the passive 20% more damage it does with Haunted Soul, all your dot effects. But yeah, it's lacking the large, like, Soul Rot, Forked ID kind of cleave. Once again, you also can't see Soul Flame and Wrath Consumption. There are other builds you can play, theoretically, too. You can sort of go into, like, Doom Blossom stuff. I don't think it's a very good ability. It's cool, but I don't think it's very worthwhile. I will say, we're not going to look at it here. Might look at it later on in some other video. If you do go into this, you do get Malefic Afflictions as well, which does help on single target. But I think if you're looking for, like, a more rounded profile, the Grim Reach, Haunted Soul row, whether you're playing, you know, this, or some other combination here, is probably the best way to go. We're going to call it about 107 to 108k at the minute and a half mark. So when it comes to Destro stuff, there are two builds I played in Mythic Plus recently. You can do more once again, but the first one here is more of a middle ground kind of build. We're playing Havoc, Cry Havoc, which leads into Chaos Bolt Cleave over like big random fire spam in most settings. Cataclysm, CDF with Raging, Roaring Blaze for that single target kind of like damage effect, just to have that single target profile that Roaring Blaze brings, right? I played Improved Conflict Rate for a little bit. Don't think it's worthwhile. This is certainly better. Infernal, Crashing Chaos, Wilfrid's, Madness, Ritual of Ruin, Master Ritualist, and Chaos Incarnate. Now, I actually have played Avatar of Destruction for a while, but I'm gonna be honest, I think Chaos Incarnate is just better in most settings. Certainly in like, you know, like Halls of Valor or like less dense mob, I guess, pack-based dungeons. Yes, it brings shards, it brings some AoE value, albeit a very small amount. If I'm playing the huge AoE build, I'd probably play this. I think Chaos Incarnate is really good in general. Max Chaos Bolt value, max Rain of Fire value, max Shadow Burn value is very good, especially with Madness leading right into it. So this build has felt really good for Destro, and surprisingly, out of all the builds in this video you're going to see, I'm not doing another Portal demo, FYI, spoilers ahead. This build has had probably the strongest single target, because you really don't lose a whole lot playing this build. Like, you're not really playing, you're not skewing everything towards AoE. Like, yeah, this AoEs, but it also just cleaves. It's good at single target. This is a single target. Yeah, this is a cleave effect, but like, it's still good in general. The builds are still solid. Still good in single target. Good in single target. Good in single target. Good in single target. They have cleave implications and AoE implications, but they're still good overall. So, that being said, let's jump into it. We have Flashpoint. We will not have it on these mobs, but it is what it is. I guess I can try and maintain it over here if we really give it some effort, but we'll just see where it goes. So the Imp's out. Yep, let's do this. I'll try to pre-immolate here, because like I don't have Flashpoint on these, but I mean, it's just life at 4 AM testing. So big thing here, Okada, drop the rock, hop trinket, a conflict rate I guess for Roaring Blaze, just CDF, put up a Havoc, Chaos Bolt Cleave. Watch the machine gun of bolts here, bolt, bolt. We have Flashpoint here too, bolt, bolt. Watch our damage here, bolt, bolt, bolt. But we're still bolting. Still bolting. We're capped on shards. I should throw a Rain of Fire or two here as well. Still going. Let me refresh Flashpoint here if I can. Still going about 145k, which is pretty solid. Not too shabby overall. Now, we are playing Cry Havoc here, which means that while, yes, I could be spamming Rain of Fire a lot there, I probably could weave 1 or 2 in, depending on how Shard Gen went. Cry Havoc actually cleaves in AoE, and we look at the damage breakdown here in a minute, you'll see that it is a very strong effect in stat cleave, even with Rain of Fire being a possible option. I'm not against casting Rain, I'll throw 1 or 2 if I'm capped on shards, but I feel like Rain of Fire, even after the buffs, unless you're playing like the huge Inferno AoE build, just feels a bit subpar in AoE. It's fine, it's okay at what it does, but it's not like it's going to be just utterly insane how it was in Season 4, I guess 3 and 4, right? Yeah, so we can bolt here, bolt here, bolt here, bolt here. We'll CDF after this window ends, and just literally a million bolts, man. You're a literal machine gun. Bolt again. CDF here. We're sustaining about 115k right now, roughly. But once again, that was a perma Flashpoint, which we can let it fall for a second here and see where we go. Oh, okay, I refresh it. It's fine. Doesn't matter. You will have Flashpoint whenever you pull a pack initially for a little bit. Depending how long the pack lasts and things, it won't be up probably for the whole duration of it. But the thing with this build, looking at the breakdown here, pull this up. Cry Havoc, about 8.5% of our damage. CDF, about 8.6. Chaos Bolt, about 31.5. Immolate, about 18, 19-ish roughly. Max Chaos Bolt of 123k. Infernal Immolation, we're at 5.5. Conflict Rate, 5.5. Kata, 4.3. All this, yada, yada. Didn't cast a whole lot of Rain of Fires. Wasn't like that bad overall breakdown wise, but this build is not skewed too far into like the Inferno third conflict rate kind of like playstyle with all this stuff like rolling havoc and all that, just mass AoE. It brings a very solid single target profile. I think it was like 115k at the 1.5-minute mark. Will also bring a lot of just sustained consistent AoE. Plus, let's be honest here, opening on like Kata into CDF into a Flashpoint based Havoc window and just machine gunning a million bolts, not much really feels better than that. It's a really fun playstyle. So for the heavier AoE, I guess, I don't know why I did this, version of Destruction, I've seen builds similar to this. I have not played it as much. I don't think it's as good, honestly. But the gist of it is like they're going into Inferno over Cataclysm. They're typically taking Pandemonium over Cry Havoc. They're going into Rolling Havoc. Skipping CDF. I've seen Roaring Blaze here, and I've seen improved conflict rate. If you're going for like max shard gen, improved conflict rate's probably a little better. I've seen both. I feel like you probably want to play this just for the single target value that it brings, is how bad this build is in single target. Ritual of Ruin, Master Ritualist, Avatar Destruction, Madness, Infernal, Crashing Chaos, Wilfrid's. I wouldn't falter for maybe playing like, once again, Chaos Incarnate over Avatar, but I mean, this is like the big 2-piece, 4-piece build from retail in S3 and 4, so we'll play it and see how it goes. We're playing a point in Backlash here. There are some variants in these builds I've seen. It just depends where it all lands, but this is the gist of it. Inferno, 2-piece, 4-piece, big spam. We will not get Flashpoint here, unfortunately, so I'll have to apply it over here again. It is what it is. All right, let me flask up a bit here, too. Also, my flask is falling. All right, let's open up and do it to it and hope that it works out. So I'm going to pre-immolate this, get some of these rolling here, too. I guess immolate. Should get a couple here rolling. Should put the rock down, blow the horn. Rain of Fire, go into a Havoc, and just start spamming Rain of Fire. And hopefully we get refunds. Rain, 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 there's a proc. Rain, ignore that. Rain, this is literally like S4 all over again. Rain, there's a proc again. Rain, rain, rain. Let me immolate twice here for Flashpoint. Immolate, rain, conflict rate, rain, rain. Keep spamming rain, rain. I probably should roll another immo or two here while I'm at it. We're generating shards. Rain, rain. Rain. We are playing Wilfrid's. Rain with Havoc. Why not? Let's go into this. Rain. Rain. Conflict rate. Rain. I think I Fat Finger Drain Life. I've lost Flashpoint and try and get it up again. It's a little scuff having like manually apply there. I'm sorry, dudes. Rain. We're losing some shard gen here at this point. But I mean, we also have Infernal literally in 50 seconds, which is like 30-ish probably. And we also really, you know, it's a pretty strong damage profile. It's a lot of fun. And we're sitting at about 112k, which is very similar to the last build we played, right? We have Infernal coming up in about 22. We can Rain, buy a couple Immolates here, Conflict Rate, cast an Incinerate, Rain, Incinerate, Conflict Rate, Rain, Incinerate a little bit more here. There's that. We have Infernal again. Put the Rock down with a proc. It's even better. Rock with a proc. Immolate, Conflict Rate, begin the Rain spam again. There's that. That was literally a minute Infernal. We're sitting at about 103k DPS, which is a bit lower than the last build, but I mean, it'll vary a bit in plus too, right? Depending on like if the pack dies faster or slower. Like having an Infernal on a minute cooldown is very strong, but even with all this insane rain spam and maintaining Flashpoint for the majority of this fight, it's still up right now too for what it's worth. The damage is sort of subpar. Like it's not as good as like the previous build was. Now there's a bit of variance, a bit of RNG, but like we have a rock coming up, I would assume probably in about another 50-ish seconds here, but the damage is just not as strong. And this is what I've seen with some of these builds. Like, it's okay. It's not bad. Rain's a good portion of our damage, but I just don't think Rain is as strong or as impactful as, like, people think it is necessarily, because we have a 2-piece, 4-piece, but a lot of what was also part of our damage in S4 and S3 was not just Rain, it was 2-piece and 4-piece. Really, the Blasphemy was doing damage too, right? After the Rain of Chaos nerfs came in and all that, things shifted a bit, but this build feels fine. It doesn't feel terrible, but it's also very lacking in single target compared to the other build. And while I don't mind it, it's fun, it's exciting to play and spam a million Rain of Fires over and over. I feel like the Kata CDF build with Cry Havoc just feels better. It just does more consistent damage, just is much better in single target, and just brings a better overall damage profile, honestly. So when it comes to Demonology, this is the build that I've been playing from the majority of Mythic Plus. There are a few different points here that are worth mentioning. I have been playing Guillotine as of late. I do like Imp Gang Boss. I'm not a huge fan of this. I think it's sort of just under-tuned, even at 10%. It's RNG. RNG is RNG. At times I've had great procs. At times it's been terrible. More often than not, though, it's been terrible. No points in Demonic Calling. I don't think it's really needed. As nice as it is to have instant cast dogs and all that, it doesn't make your dogs... It doesn't remove your ability to cast Dreadstalkers. It just makes them not instant cast and costly shards. It's a bit unfortunate, but it really hasn't been that big of a deal once I start playing, you know, the talent itself. And like, you're pretty limited on... You're spread pretty thin on talent points, because you want Fell Might, you want Fell Sunder, you want Implosion, obviously, you want, you know, Calling, you want probably a point in Inner Demons for the extra imps and just implosion value and all that, and the synergy with Imp Gang Boss. You want Tyrant Empowerment, you want Torrent, you want Expendables, and I'm playing Guillotine Infernal Command. I do think Guillotine's worth it. In the very early sims that I've seen, Guillotine does sim higher than playing other abilities in AoE. It does sim like it's worth it. Now, there are some people playing Nether Portal, going, I would assume, like this probably in Mythic Plus. Probably, I guess, actually, for a much higher single target damage profile. You can do that. Maybe even pulling a point from somewhere up here to put it like in Expendable or something else. You can do this, and it's fine. It will bring a lot of single target, depending what you're doing. Portal is hard to play at times on bosses if you don't have like optimal movement or like a lot of weird mechanics coming out. Certainly possible. We'll explore that build a bit more next week, but I mean the gist of it is like you have, in AoE you have implosions, you have your dogs, your Grimoire Felguard, all the above, and your large damage based empowerments here. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Oh, Demonic Strength is wild too, but the bug was finally fixed, so it's sort of expected. So yeah, with that being said, let's jump into it. Also, my pet has Expendables rolling on him. It's passive from Imp Gang Boss expiring, which is sort of cool. Not Imp Gang Boss, Inner Demons. Sort of cool. Yeah, so okay, so let's say we're going into a pack. Tanks running in. We have like no imps stacked up or anything. We're gonna go in, cast some Shadow Bolts, go to 5 shards here, cast Grimoire, cast our dogs. We're not gonna go crazy big Tyrant here. We're gonna go 5 or 6 shards, depending on refunds probably. We'll go hand. We'll go 7 imps. Why not? Hand, Trinket if you want. Tyrant, Demonic Strength, and I could Guillotine beforehand, but I held off because I want the Tyrant out for Guillotine Empowerment, all that. Once the Strength ends now, throw the Guillotine down. We're going to cast our dogs here, and we can implode about now. We got 7 imps in the implosion from Imp Gang Boss, implode again. We're sitting at 170k. It's not too bad. 170k burst, we can start implosion cycling here at this point. It can get a little weird at times with 4-piece procs and instant cast Hand Gul'dans when you're not ready, which is sort of how it is. Imp Gang Boss also, whenever you implode. So whenever you implode, okay. Whenever you implode an Imp Gang Boss, it will spawn a regular imp. Only when you implode them, not when they expire passively. There's a chance though for that regular imp you summoned to be another Imp Gang Boss. So I implode here, for example, with 13 imps, I got 5 back. I can implode again, I got 1 back. I wouldn't implode 5, but just to show that Imp Gang Boss and the weird kind of like imp replacement effects can be Imp Gang Bosses. So we have Tyrant again here. We'll cast dogs, start building into a Tyrant. Lucky with a proc there. Hand, and we will Tyrant. Cast our Demonic Strength, use that. Build imps for an implosion. A few hand cycles, instant cast is nice. 2 here. You have Tyrant for 7 more seconds, so we'll build the 5. Go hand into dogs for rechomp. Cast that, cast Shadow Bolt, implode 24 imps, and I get 3 back. That's terrible RNG, but still, it's still better than getting 0 back, I guess, theoretically. So Imp Gang Boss RNG can be very high. I implode 11 here, and I got 2 back, which is half the Tyrant implosion. We got the same imps back, essentially. Throw the Guillotine down, and this is the gist of it. We're sitting at about 120k, which rivals the best Affliction build at a minute 30. This is the gist of it, right? Tailstorm being about 17%, Implosion being about 19, Dreadbite being about 20, Hand Gul'dan being about 9, Legion Strike, all this stuff here. So Guillotine is Fell Explosion and Fiendish Wrath being about 2.7 and 3.1, so about 6%, which is what I've seen in a lot of Mythic Plus stuff. I do think it's currently worth it in AoE if you're playing this build. I wouldn't fault somebody for just saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to play these 4 talents here and just throw it in the portal. That probably makes a good bit of sense in single target too, because while we are playing Demonology here, this build is surprisingly mediocre in single target. It's fine, it's not like it's terrible, but I've had higher damage playing the Destro build with Kata and Cry Havoc and all that stuff, right, than I've had with this build in single target. A lot of Demo single target lies in Portal and everything else. If you've watched the single target video on Demo, you'll know the pet build, which is mostly this side of the tree, is probably the lowest build we have in single target anywhere, because you don't have Demon Bolt, Power Siphon, Fell Covenant, Portal Empowerment, Sack Souls, nothing like that. You have just pets, which is fine, but it's nowhere near as good as, you know, Nether Portal and or Demon Bolt effects. So overall, at AoE, Demo, very, very solid. Sustains a good bit of damage, all the above. I wouldn't fault somebody for going into the Portal build here, like this, and saying, hey, I want more single target, forget guillotine. And honestly, I think it's probably fine. I don't think guillotines overload like too much when it comes to AoE, but I think it's just, you know, sort of, I think this probably holds a lot of relevancy. We'll test with it next weekend when classes open again. But having a good, like, you don't lose a whole lot going into this part of the tree. You still have Implosion, Dogs, Third Dog, and Torn for Big Cleave, Demonic Strength, Fell Might, Fell Sunder, all the big AoE effects regardless, but you get Portal, and Rituals, and Gul'dans. And let's be honest, for a while we've said, hey, Portal's pretty bad in Mythic Plus, or it can be. It wasn't in the past, and it still might not be great right now casting it on certain bosses, but, dude, it's a Pit Lord. I'm going to play it. So yeah, when it comes to all the builds I just being looked at here roughly, this is sort of what I expected. I didn't expect Grim Reach, so to clarify, this is Grim Reach Dark Harvest, Grim Reach Haunted Soul, Cataclysm CDF, Inferno Ritual of Ruin, the bigger AoE build. I expect this build to be a little higher still. Probably not higher than this. I expected higher numbers from both these builds, honestly. Grim Reach Dark Harvest, I expect to be pretty high. Grim Reach is strong AoE cooldown. Dark Harvest with Seed Spam. Pretty solid overall in AoE. We saw it on Primalist Council and in certain weeks when we played it in Plus. Grim Reach, but like, here's the thing. So these build, like, here's the thing. So, yes, flashy build, Grim Reach Dark Harvest. Big AoE, 120k. Flashy build, it's just demo, 122k, right? This price undertuned. Buff Rain of Fire. But these two builds, big flashy damage in AoE, but they're both sort of mediocre in single target. This is like acceptable AoE, I guess, comparatively to this. Not the best, not as good, but it's better in single target. You have Haunted Soul, a 20% increase to all your dots on all your targets, essentially, right? Better single target profile. This build here, once again, not incredible damage overall in AoE compared to AF or Demo, but this is actually the Kata CDF build, the best build out of all these that I've seen in single target. Acceptable AoE, good single target. Now, we didn't play Demo Portal. I'll test with it more this week. It's probably fine, probably very similar. I don't want this video to be an hour long. I wanted to show just like, you know, general damage profiles and what's doing the best, but I would assume Demo and other portals were doing pretty good AoE or good single target as well. Probably acceptable AoE, probably like 115, 16k. But that's the thing, it's not all about finding the best AoE build, because if you do insane AoE but can't do anything on bosses, you're like almost dead weight in a sense, right? At certain points. It's not just fortified, it's not just mass pulls. Yeah, it's a big part of Plus, but it's also tyrannical, it's also single target, also prio damage, right? So, like, I think the front runners now, when it comes to Mythic Plus overall, I think the front runner is currently number 1, Demonology, by a fair margin. I think Demo is probably one of, if not the, Demo is probably the highest ranked range spec when it comes to being potentially meta for Dragonflight right now. I think Mage is doing well, maybe Fire Mage, I'm not sure. It's about, like, the big classes are Windwalker, Demon Hunter, I think Feral and like Rogue, I believe, are doing decently. They're all melee. No surprise there. Demos like Fellstorm Cleave, Implosion Cleave, all that. Being able to chain like imps from pack to pack and Tyrant quickly, very strong. Number 2 is probably Destro, just due to like how, like, this build's fine in AoE. It's good in single target. It has universal relevancy and applicability, which is good to have, especially early on, right? Probably number 2, Destro. If I said Demo there, I meant Destro. And number 3, probably Affliction, but I don't think AF is very far behind Destruction. And the thing is, both Demo and Destro have had substantial buffs over the past month or so. Destro got some big buffs about a month ago, and Demo got some pretty decent ones like Implosion, Fellstorm Bug Fix, Imp Gang Boss, other effects about 2 weeks ago. Affliction hasn't been buffed. They actually got nerfed. They nerfed Dark Harvest, which, I mean, to be fair, I don't know if it was totally warranted, but I mean, I'm hoping the Dark Harvest nerf maybe is there to compensate for some kind of other buff somewhere else. I highly doubt it, but I think all 3 damage profiles are good. Every spec is very customizable and feels good in Plus. It's just, you know, where tuning ends up landing. So while it might be currently Demo, Destro, AF, that could change literally in 10 minutes if Blizzard push buffs or nerfs. So once again, take this all with a grain of salt. But regardless, the current damage profiles, this is where things look overall in Plus. And yeah, TLDR, all 3 specs are good in certain areas. I think Destro's the most rounded, but Demo is the best overall, I'd say, in Plus by a fair margin due to its fast burst AoE. And like, Demo single target is not bad. It's like, if Destro's like an 8 in single target, Demo's like a 6.5 or a 7, depending on what you're doing. And if you play another Portal Demo in Plus, it's quite possibly better than Destro in single target as well. So that should about wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope the video helped y'all get a better grasp on just where each spec is sitting in an AOE kind of setting, and I guess just all that. Yeah, going from there, heading into the final 2 weeks of Dragonflight pre-patch before launch. Now, I want to say again, this can all change literally at any time if Blizz pushes buffs or nerfs, so it's cool to see these things, all that, but keep in mind, this can all change, and there are also a handful of builds here I didn't play. Another Portal demo, a couple Destro builds, a different AF build. I want to keep the video under half an hour, or hopefully an hour. I don't know how long it is now, it's already too long in the first place, but yeah, so... Now, the next few weeks on the channel here and on Twitch are going to be very, very big. We have the Demo guide, Demo, Destro, AF guide coming out, Raider IO articles, Wowhead guide articles. Obviously, I'm the that's all that. Plus, like a leveling guide, some overview videos coming out for Warlock stuff, prep videos, all that kind of stuff. The website being updated over the next few weeks as well. A lot going on, so I'll do my best to keep you on loop with everything that's happening, guide-wise, this and that. But if you want, my Discord and my Twitter, links to both down below, legitimately are the best place to get a hold of me or find out what's coming down the line, content-wise. But yeah, I'm pumped. There's a lot going on, but I think Lock is in a pretty decent spot for Dragonflight. We're good in plus for now, and we're like middle of the pack in rating, but with tuning coming and some classes still being pretty strong with Windwalker and Demon Hunter and other things that probably are going to get nerfed at some point, I think we'll end up in a fine spot. So we'll see where it goes. But let me know what you guys thought of the video down below in the comment section. Any builds that I missed or anything, drop it down there. I'll be sure to get back to you. And while you're down there, smash the like and sub buttons because it helps out a ton. Before we end, I also want to give one final huge, massive, insane shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys for all the support. 10,000 times. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, it should be a link up here as well as down in the video description below. And yeah, with that being said, guys, I'm pumped. Next 2 weeks gonna be wild, and then launch comes, and Race to World first comes, and then Hall of Fame-ish comes. My Guild's doing Alliance, actually, which is interesting. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'll keep going loop. Oh, and Sims. Hopefully, I forgot about that. We'll get that going. When I know, I'll let y'all know. So thanks for watching, guys. With all that being said, I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.